Chef Brian Henry is back with us in the kitchen making a sweet dessert for us for Valentine's. And of course we've got chocolate here. And when we think of Valentine's, we think of chocolate.
Lots of chocolate, Rita, as always. We do have different opportunities for things to do on Valentine's Day, but chocolate is a classic thing that we can enjoy at the time of year. Whether you're getting into white chocolate, milk chocolates, and then do a series of dark chocolates and such, they're all absolutely delicious, and very few people dislike chocolate. Today what I'm looking at doing here is I'm just heating up some cream to make a simple ganache.
Okay. Cream, whipping cream or?
Heavy cream, yes. You're looking at a 35% would be
Okay.
best. So yes, it would be a heavy cream.
And when you say you're warming this up, how high are you putting this?
Very, very low at the moment, just because we're in conversation and such, and I can't totally focus on what I'm doing. So I've got it on a lower temperature, and it's been simmering for a little bit. So you can see it's reduced a little bit, which isn't necessary. Normally what I would do is I bring it up to a gentle simmer, shut the heat off immediately so the pot wouldn't boil over.
Okay.
And then I would transfer it.
And you're not actually putting the chocolate in directly yet, because now you want to add flavor to it.
Now I want to add flavor to my cream, which is the same as basically making tea. With dark chocolates, you can add rosemary flavor. You can get into ginger flavoring. Black tea will work well. Coffee flavors work well. Chai works well with the dark flavors. With a white chocolate, you can get into lavender. Earl Grey tea pairs with it very well. Bergamot would pair with it. So you can either take spices like the rosemary itself, and you can toss it into the cream, and then when you drain it into the bowl, just run it through a chinois to strain out the rosemary, or you can actually just use a tea bag.
Wow, all flavors I would never have considered using. I would have thought vanilla, you know, a strawberry flavor, a maple flavor, but who would have thought the flavors that you've just mentioned?
Oh, they work so well. One of my favorites is to use chai, so picking up whatever your favorite chai tea may be in the store. 2 to 3 bags make a nice concentrated flavor. I'm just using one here. You let it gently steep out. Don't beat the bag up too much because it'll burst open, and let it steep away. We'll remove the bag here shortly. What I do enjoy doing as well is making my own chocolate, or taking chocolate, adding flavor to it, and then making chocolate chip cookies. So I like doing chai chocolate chunk cookies.
Very nice.
Or chai chocolate chip ice cream, and so I'll make up the chai chocolate, let it set, harden again, and then incorporate it into other recipes.
And this is a good time right now to mention about your catering business, because I'm sure there are people at home right now saying, honey, I want to hire him.
By all means, yes. Parties for 2, parties for 200, by all means, I'm available to do. Whether it's through in their home, whether it's on-site catering at a chosen reception area or something like that, by all means, definitely available.
And Brian, when you come to the person's home and you make, whether it's dinner, dessert, drinks, what have you, you bring all the ingredients that you need. They just need to supply the dishes?
Depending on what kind of a venue it is, because I do have plates, cutlery, glassware, all of that can be brought with, so I can bring everything basically that's needed, including staff. All that they have to do is provide a table to eat off of, basically.
Very nice.
Yes, I've gone out to islands for people to do private dinners and such, so it's basically wherever you need me to be and what you want me to bring, I can do that.
And this is one of the dishes he can make?
And this is one of the dishes that can be done.
Okay, so Brian, you are cutting up, is this dark chocolate?
I'm cutting up a dark chocolate. I'm a huge fan of the dark chocolate.
It's very good for you.
It's very good for you. It's very rich in flavor. It's a proper chocolate flavor. I'm not a fan of white chocolate, and it's nothing against people who do enjoy white chocolate or anything like that. It doesn't actually contain chocolate. It has lecithin and other things that have been added to it to give it a creamy texture, but there's actually no chocolate into it. Milk chocolate has very little chocolate in it. It's only about 10% chocolate. There's actually more milk in it than there is chocolate usually.
And then, of course, the darker versions. But how do these compare to one another?
Well, here we're getting into what would be a 55% cocoa fat content, which is very standard, say for like a baking chocolate and such. And as we go further along, actually this would be the 55. Here's the 65. This is 75% cocoa fat, and then this is 85%. You can see how much darker we're getting there.
Wow, and this is the good stuff.
That's as good as it can get, as far as I'm concerned. By all
You may
means.
have to have a second mortgage to afford this, but this is definitely the good stuff.
Exactly, yes.
So Brian, all you're doing now is you've poured the cream over the chocolate and melting it this way.
And melting it this way. Just working it with a wooden spoon. If you work it with a whisk, I'm getting some bubbles in it, but if you work it with a whisk, you're going to end up with like an Aero chocolate bar kind of texture. You're going to get too many bubbles into it. So it's just a matter of gently stirring it. You can see the chocolate on the sides here. You can see the chocolate being rather loose and stuck to the sides with cream in between it. We just have to keep stirring it until it comes up to a full solid color, which will probably run a little bit longer than what we've got here for our segment.
But this would then end up becoming like a ganache?
This would be a ganache.
And then what would you do with the ganache?
With the ganache, then you can put it in the fridge, let it harden, and carve out little balls. You can pour it into a pie shell, do a cake. You can.
Could you also use it as a sauce?
You could use it as a sauce while it's still warm. Yes, you'd want it to thicken up a little bit, and you can pour it over ice creams. You can pour it over different desserts. You can dip strawberries in it.
And you can also make this into a mousse.
And you can also make this into a mousse or into a frosting. You can incorporate whipped egg yolks or whipped egg whites into it to make a mousse if you choose to, or you can put just the ganache itself after it's hardened into a food processor with the paddle attachment and whip it, and you actually have whipped ganache frosting.
Oh, very
Very
nice.
versatile, very easy to do.
And I actually learned, I talk about the mousse, I learned it the hard way because I was trying to make ganache. I told you this the last time you were here.
Oh, that's right.
And I messed up and it became mousse, but it was actually good.
Sometimes there's happy mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no reason to stress.
And again, Brian, just be very creative when you're making a ganache. I mean, like I said, who would have thought you could, whoa my God, who would have thought you could use rosemary to make a ganache?
Exactly. A lot of people didn't realize the flavors can be paired off. There's a lot of different thinking going on with food now. Some people are adding curry into their chocolate. Some people are adding cayenne pepper, which works on the palate sense,
Yes.
but the mind and the stomach don't always agree with what works on the palate. It's something that you have to overcome with your thinking.
You know what I say? If you like chocolate and you have to make it for somebody else and you don't want them to eat it all, put the stuff in that you really like.
Exactly.
And then this way you know you're going to be the one indulging in it.
No matter
and not
what,
them.
exactly.
And look at that. And Brian, it's thickening up.
It is starting to thicken up. It's going to cool. It usually takes a ganache 6 to 8 hours to come down to room temperature and for it to start to solidify a bit again.
But it smells so good. And again, this would be great too with fresh fruit.
Oh, by all means, yes. You can set up like a fondue, having a simple candle underneath, keeping it warm, it'll work well. Quite often what you find also is people are using chocolate fountains. Chocolate fountains, you have to use a lower grade chocolate in usually. You can get in some higher chocolates for it, but because of the flowing consistency of the chocolate fountains, you're actually adding copious amounts of vegetable oil.
Okay.
And so you're melting your chocolate, and you're heating this vegetable oil, and you can't really notice it while they're running, but that's how the chocolate fountains work. And some people do fondues with that. You usually use a really cheap chocolate for that, and it's not my personal preference. By all means, there's people that enjoy them, but I prefer to stick to the dark things. And
the good stuff.
Exactly.
So again, you can buy the romantic CDs, you can buy the goodies here, but you can make something at home which is really special.
Exactly, always.
Brian, thank you so much. And again, for more information, give Brian a call. You can also visit his website. We have it up on the screen for you.